All right. So we'll talk a lot more today about different sports and activities. But first, I just want to share some information that's important when we talk about sports. So we have some words that we talked about already today, like to cycle, right? Also, we might say to ride a bike or to ride a bicycle, right? Or we can just use the verb cycle. When we talk about sports and we talk about activities that are similar to sports, very often we have two ways that we can speak about it, right? Like we can say to go for a walk, or we can say to walk. We can say to go skiing or to ski, right? To go cycling or just to cycle. To stretch or to do stretching. And so there's always, there's usually more than one way that we can speak about these activities. And sometimes it's confusing when you hear people speak, like today I'm speaking and I'm saying the word sports, to do sports. But if you read many English textbooks, they will say to do sport, right? Maybe you know this, and maybe you have heard this before. So in British English, usually people will say to do sport, and American English, people will usually say to do sports. Why? It's a good question, but usually we have this difference between British English and American English. So next, when we talk about sports, there's usually three different verbs that we might use. We could say to play, to go, and to do. To play, to go, or to do, when we speak about sports and activities like sports. By the way, sometimes it's confusing for me when someone from a different country says, oh yes, I do sports. I go to the gym every day. The gym. Right? The gym is the place where we can maybe do cardio, but also the gym is the place where we lift weights. To lift weights. Right? Maybe we lie down and we lift weights. Maybe we use some other machines to help us lift weights. And so to lift weights, this is an activity. And there's a sport in the Olympics called weightlifting. Weightlifting, right? This is a sport in the Olympics. Sometimes people have different ideas about what a sport is. And so this is why sometimes it's confusing for me and for other people. For example, Aisha said she does yoga. But some people think that this is not a sport, and some people think that it is a sport. Some people think that when they go to the gym and they run on a machine, usually hi Marina, usually this machine, we call it in English a treadmill. A treadmill, or some people might call it an elliptical machine. A treadmill. So if someone's running on a treadmill, is this a sport or is this just physical activity? Right? So people have different ideas. In the I remember when I was in school, a lot of people in the United States talked about cheerleading. There's some people playing basketball, and there's some girls usually, but some boys and girls who are who are saying some words like, yeah, let's win. Yes, team, let's win, let's win. And they're jumping and dancing. And so many people said, oh, this is not a sport. But the people who do cheerleading, they say, no, this is a sport. And so it's difficult to understand what a sport is and what isn't a sport. What is a sport, what isn't a sport. And so today, when I talk about sports, usually when I say sport, to do a sport or to play a sport, what I mean is a game that has competition competition. There's a winner and there's a loser. Competition. And this competition or this activity has a special name. This is usually what I mean when I speak about a sport. This is what I'm thinking of when I say the word sport, sports. So, for example, a person who goes to the gym and does cardio, a person who goes to the gym and runs on a treadmill, this is not doing sports in my opinion, in my experience with English, in American English. Usually we don't think of this as a sport. This is just, we have a special verb that we use. We say to work out. To work out. This means to do physical activity for your health. To do physical activity for maybe your heart, for your muscles, right? But there's not a winner or a loser. And maybe every activity has a special name, but this is not an event, right? There's not a game, for example. There's not teams usually. So yes, some people are very competitive. They want to win. They want to be better than other people at it. They want to be the best, right? But usually this is not what we mean when we're talking about sports. When we talk about sports, we mean things like basketball, tennis, volleyball, football, or in America, soccer. Even other things like badminton or other kinds of sport, hockey, right? There's a lot of sports, baseball. There's a lot of different sports, but just going to the gym and just working out, this is not really doing sports usually in English. So let's go back. We were talking about the 3 different verbs that we use when we talk about sports and activities. Marina says gymnastics. Gymnastics. Yeah. This is also, right, this is an Olympic sport, right? And there's a competition there with a winner and a loser. Great. So we're talking about to play sports, to go, and to do. So usually if this activity has a special name, if this is an event or a name, then we say play, like to play basketball, to play tennis, to play hockey. Go, usually after go, we use a verb with ing. So if this thing is a verb, and we can use it as a verb, like to ski, this is a verb. So then we can say to go skiing. This is a strange word, skiing, because it has double I. One of the only words in English with double I. Not a lot of words have this. To go skiing, to walk, to go walking, to run, to go running. And do is usually about some kind of activity or sport that does not have a team, does not have, maybe there's some event, but it's usually some special type of activities. For example, we could say to do yoga, but we could also say to do judo, to do karate, to do karate. In American English, karate. Judo, karate, tai chi, taekwondo, right? So all of these activities, judo, karate, taekwondo, these are martial arts. Martial arts. This is one category, one group of activities. It's the art of fighting, right? So there's a special group of sports or activities we call martial arts. And usually when we speak about martial arts, we say to do, usually. But we also have one type of martial art, which is boxing. And we have a verb, to box. Boxing, to box. So sometimes it's difficult to remember this, because what do we say? For example, to box, here we have a special verb, like to ski, right? And so Colin said that he does this activity. Colin skis. He skis. And if he wants to talk to another person, he can ask, do you ski? We don't need to say, do you go skiing? Do you play? This is not correct. Do you do? This is not correct. Right? You can say, do you like to go skiing? But when we say to go skiing, like when we say to go walking or to go running, this is not a professional activity. This is something that we do for fun or for exercise, for health, right? This is different. To go walking, it's just an activity that we do for fun, for ourselves, right? It's not a competition. So if we want to ask if somebody is a boxer, we can ask, do you box? Do you box? We could say, I don't box, but he boxes. He boxes. My brother boxes. He is a boxer, for example. So when we talk about martial arts, we usually say to do. But usually when we speak about sports, we're talking about the sports that we can play. Basketball, tennis, soccer, football, rugby, hockey,